Ruchem Avoim B'Shem Hashem, B'Shem Egen Shirter, I'd like to welcome everyone to today's share from Harav Yaakov Zav Smith Shlita on Dini Kriah V'Re'iyas HaKosel Hamarovi. Kriah at the Kosel, how, what, when, and who. So the Gracechus is sponsoring a share called Egen Shirter 718-851-8651 or email ist@yeshivanet.com. Harav Smith.
Someone recently was going to Eretz Yisrael and he said he had no idea what to do about Kriah by the Kosel. I was thinking, the words of the Chayodam, and he wrote a sefer about the halachos of Eretz Yisrael, Shari Tzedek, and he writes, if a person comes to the Palton Shel Melech, he comes to the king's palace, and doesn't know what he's doing, so Damei Beroisha, he's Chayiv Misa. How do you know? How could you come and not knowing what to do? So I was thinking it's a good idea to discuss basically the halachos of the kriya that we do by the Kosel, rising is a Yiddish word for tearing, rending the garment. And Pashut, I was thinking maybe you have an easier job. We'll just look at Siman Shin, Mem, and Yeredeya, the halachos of Kriah for relatives, and whatever's good there is good here. So the question is it true that we could compare Kriah by the Kosel to Kriah by relatives? So I want to tell you, I saw there's one of the classic farms on Hilchos Eretz Yisrael, the Ira Kodesh VaMikdash. V'chil Michal Shikinsky was one of the foremost authorities of all Inyanei Eretz Yisrael. So in Chele Gimel, Amid Reishit Gimel, he has a question, a Chakira. Is the Ikka of the Kriya the Tsar or the Kriya? In other words, it explains. Do we say that when a person comes to the Kosel, he's overcome with terrible pain? He sees the Kosel, he sees the Churban, and he has to express himself. But the side of it is really that a Yid came to the Kosel and he had a tremendous tsar on what he saw. Rebelsky used to tell us that in the old city, there's over 150 Batei Tumah, 150 mosques in the old city. You know what kind of Tumah that is in the Palton Shel Melech, 150 mosques. Shem Zalman used to tell the story, the Shmuel Salant, the Rabbi Yerushalayim, was getting old and he wanted to get a successor, B'chayev, so he could groom him into the job. So he called the Aderes, the Mir Rav, a Goyin Oilam, and he asked him to move to Yerushalayim. He'll take over when he passed away. The Aderes, when he came, they gave him an apartment in the old city, and he said, I'm getting sick. I keep on, in my apartment, from different vantage points, he could see the Makam HaMikdash. And it's not good for me. And it was nifta shortly afterwards. Before Shmuel Salant was nifta. He never had the job. The pain of seeing the Makam HaMikdash, he couldn't be soivel. They say, I'm a real diskin. Kamat never went to the Kosel. He couldn't bear the pain to see what he saw. So, l'chayra, the pshat is, when you come to the Kosel, a person's overtaken with pain, and your eyes kriya. Or maybe it's just the opposite. You come to the Kosel and you don't feel anything, so it's an emergency. You need some type of a shock treatment, some type of a wake-up call. So, Tibama'oira, Avelis on the Churban, we have to rise kriya. Now, Rav Moshe in the Tshuva, he says he doesn't know if there's an inyan to Ma'oira Tsar. So I'm not using the word Tsar. But to Ma'oira and Avelis on the Churban, that's what we have to do. So this is the question, as we'll see, and it really gives us a good insight into the whole sugya. The Chinuch writes, Adam nifal kafi puloisav, a person is affected by what he does. The Mesil Sharm writes, Chitzoinis ma'oira pnimius. So let's learn the sugya, and hopefully we'll find the answer to all of our questions. So the emphasis, the makar of the inyan of rising kriya is the Gemara Moed Katan, Daf Chavav Mar Aleph. Actually, there are 3 times that he has to rise kriya. When he sees Ori Yehuda, when he sees Yerushalayim b'churbana, and when he sees, and I quote, Beis Hamikdash b'churbana, and by each of the 3, the Gemara has something to say. By the Beis Hamikdash b'churbana, you say Beis Kachenu v'Sifatenu, Ashalucha v'Iseinu, Hoyle Sreifas Eish, and then he rises kriya. So right away, I'm going to tell you, you see that you don't just rise kriya. It's preceded by a amir. You say something. So one of the Rishonim on Moed Katan, the Raj ben Hayasim, his name, they called him. He writes, why do you have to say something first? To warm up the heart, to get some emotions. So obviously the kriya has to be more than just a physical act of kriya. It has to impact us. Also, the Gemara in that Ma'ikot and Chavav is not talking only about Yerushalayim or Kosel. It's talking about Kriah and Ava V'imai. So we definitely see there is some comparison between Ava V'imai and the Kriah and the Kosel. Also, and I must mention it once and for all, as I told you, the Gemara has 3 different times Yechayev to rise Kriah. The Yehuda, Yerushalayim, and the Makam HaMikdash. We're not going to discuss today our Yehuda, Yerushalayim, because it's sugya for itself. Today we're going to focus on primarily, exclusively the Kosel. But what's interesting is, if you notice, it does not say a word about the Kosel. Not in the Gemara, and not in Shulchan Aruch. All the Gemara says that's Mechayev is Beis HaMikdash B'churbana. What does that mean? There is no remnant of Beis HaMikdash. You don't find a little part of it. The Kosel. The Kosel is actually the outer wall of the Har HaBayis, not part of the Beis HaMikdash. So who said you're iced by the Kosel? But there's another Gemara that gives us a different insight. The Gemara is in the famous Gemara at the end of Makkas, where Rabbi Kiva, Rabbi Gamliel, Rabbi Elazar Rosaria, Rabbi Yeshua were walking, and Haya'oil Yerushalayim, Kivan Shagiu Lahar Tzoifim, which today they call Mount Scopus, Kiru Vigdeim, they rend their garments, they tore their garments. So Rabbeinu Gershom on that Gemara, he's instead of the Rashi, he says, Dina lemevet hachi, that's the lach, you have to do it. Why do you have to do it? What does Hatzaif have to do with Makam HaMikdash? So here's the catch. The only thing we really have today that we could say that is really a shayach to the Beis HaMikdash is the Rtzpas Azara, the place where the Beis HaMikdash was built on, the ground. It's the same ground. When you go to a higher point and you look down beyond the Kosel, you see the most horrific scene that's possible to see. You have to see 2 mosques, and the Arabs, the Roitzchim, the Tzara Yehudim, are davening there, lahavdil. But that's the place of the Beis HaMikdash. Now, when you're standing by the Kosel, you can't see behind the Kosel. But many other places, L'moshel, Har Tzoifim, Har Azeisim, some place in the old city, a rooftop. So this is telling us that it's lav, the Beis HaMikdash means there really is the place where the Beis HaMikdash used to be. That Makom, the Makom of the Evan Shasiyah, where the Beis HaMikdash was. In fact, today, even when you go from Yeshivat Parat Yosef, which is near the Kosel, and you go down the high steps, when you're on the top over there in the yeshiva, you could see the Makom HaMikdash. That's the place, the right place to rise Kriah. In fact, the Mishnah Pesachim, that Memtes, speaks about when you got to Har Tzoifim. So Rashi says, Kvar sheyochel lirais Beis HaMikdash misham. Har Tzoifim was associated, the place you could see the Makom HaMikdash. In fact, he told me when he goes to Kivrei Avos, to Eretz Yisrael, to Har Zeisim, he brings along a scissor and he rises Kriah from Har Zeisim. Not on his parents, because it's the place to see the Makom HaMikdash. Now you notice that there's no mention of rising by the actual Kosel. There's a Sefer Eretz Yisrael, the same Mechaber Rav, the Rabbi Michal, in Perek Chav Beis Sif Hey, he writes, you could rise Kriah when you see the Makom HaZorah, but not when you see the Kosel Maravi, because it's not the Kosel of the Beis HaMikdash, it's the Kosel of the Har HaBayis. And indeed, Rav Sternbuch and Aleph Shin Lamed Aleph, he quotes the Briskerov that was makbid, he only rise Kriah when he's able to look down and see the Makom HaMikdash. Yet Lamaisa, you have to realize, according to this, rising Kriah by the Kosel, you're not Yoitza, maybe it's even Bal Tashchis. However, there's another source that sort of expands the Chiyuv somewhat. The Bach in our Siman, and the Shulchan Aruch devotes a whole Siman, Tovkuf Samach Aleph, to our Sugya, said the Bach quotes Sefer Likutim, when you see the Kuba, he calls it, it must be an Arabic word, but the way we refer to it, when you see the dome of the mosque, the place referred to as the Mizgad. Mizgad is Aramaic from Sagidna, the place where people bow, which is the mosque. When you see the dome, the top of it, then you could also rise Kriah. Now that's much more convenient, because when you stand by the Kosel and you look up, you could see the dome. So lav dafka, you have to look in, so to speak, look down and see the Makom of the Azara. Even if you see the dome, it's also good enough. Now, you'll ask me why? Well, I'll tell you why. Because the halachos, the place on planet Earth, is the headquarters of the Rtzchim and the Soni Yisrael. The place of the Makam HaMikdash now is the place of two mosques. It's interesting, the Bach, a little later in that shtickle, he says you have to cry and be mesoinen. That he quotes the Sefer Lekutim. So he says, I don't have a Gemara that says that, but the Seichel Mechayiv, that right now when you're looking at the mosque, you see, how could you not cry and be mesoinen? So in other words, the Bach, based on the earlier sources, saying, Lav dafka the makom of the Rtzpah, who adin the Mizgad, because that's the Meisei Muta Lefonov. And this Sefer, Eretz Yisrael, that I told you, although he was a Yerushalmi and he preferred rice and Kriah by the, when you see the makom of the Migdash, the Rtzpah, he added, but the Bach says, and the Pas Shulchan, that's the Goyen's Talmud, they said you could also rice when you see the dome. No, we'll do the same. I know a Yid, a precious Yid, Matcha Schwab's Chayna Levracha, and on his desk where he learned, he had an aerial view picture of the area of the Dome of the Rock. Now typically you put by a picture of the Kosel, Tzadikim davening. What is an aerial view of that area? You see two mosques and people bowing there. But that was the truest form of Zeichel HaChorban. He was able to see that in the halachos, the place, and on our world, there's a terrible tumah. That's the place to rice Kriah if you see that dome, even though you see it from high above, because you know what's doing below. Lamaisa, this is why we have so far two options for rice and Kriah. Either the Rtzpah or you see the dome. But there's no mention yet of Kosel. And I'll tell you why. It makes sense. Because when we see the dome, we feel terrible. When we see the Kosel, we feel very excited. We still have a place to daven. It's sort of an echama to us. So why rice and Kriah? But Lamaisa, there are some that say that that's the minig Yerushalayim. I saw the Sefer, the Zichron Betzalel, or beside the Volitsky, wrote a beautiful Sefer on these inyanim. In Amid Shin Samachay, he says the minig Yerushalayim today is also to rise when you see the Kosel. Now, he quotes the Minchas Alaza, when he came to Yerushalayim, he rised on the Kosel. The Chazon Ish didn't, but he says that's the minig of Yerushalayim to rise on the Kosel. Rav Moshe and Chelik Dalet Siman Ayin Sif Katan Yud Aleph, he doesn't even make a point. He says, the minig today, when you see the Kosel, you vade rise Kriah. Now, I guess you could look at it from a different angle as well. And you could say, this is all we have from the Beis HaMikdash. This outer wall of the outer perimeter of the Har HaBayis. But Lamaisa, this is the minig. I saw a new sefer, a beautiful sefer, Peninas HaMikdash Amid Shin Ches, one of the younger light in Lakewood. He also finds a raya from the Bach, that the Bach also acknowledged that if you hold, it's lav dafka making on the Rtzpah, if you make it on the mosque, you could also make it on the Kosel. Now, Lamaisa, many Gedolim, I saw the Steipler, Rabbi Yashiv, and Rabbi Yosef has a tshuva, Rabbi Shlomo Zalman Auerbach, all say that that's the minig today, you could rise on the actual Kosel. Now, it's interesting, I was thinking of what the title to call today's shir. So to call it Kriah on the Kosel is not so accurate, because that's not the right, perfect place. But I was thinking, I'm going to call it Kriah on the mosque. Sounds really funny. But the Maisa, this is the minig. Again, the Rtzpah is probably a little better, but I would give advice, Pasha to simple Eitzah, when you get to the Kosel, look up. So you have the Kosel, and you also have the mosque. So you have two reasons to rise Kriah. A Bacha asked me, it was in Eretz Yisrael, so could he stop by the steps, let's say going down from the yeshiva, Barat Yosef, and rise Kriah there? I said, fine, it's good, but you're going to block traffic. He's going to cause a stampede. He's standing there with all his tefillahs and everything. So if it doesn't stare someone else, you could find these places and rise Kriah there. Next question, which is very tricky because they get to thousands of people, is how often does someone rise Kriah? Lamashal, he was there by the Kosel 3 weeks ago, or 2 months ago, or he lives in Yerushalayim, or he learned in Yerushalayim. When is the Chiyuv come once again? So the emes is that here we come to a very important point we have to clarify. What is the nature of the Chiyuv Kriah on the Kosel? Is it when you see it? So why is it totally in days, months? You see it, you rise Kriah. Maybe like Avav Imai, it's only once. Or maybe, if you notice, the Gemara says, Haroya, if you see Ara Yehuda, you rise Kriah. Maybe it's a din in Re'iyah. What's the halachos of Re'iyah? You learn the Sugya and Brachos and Shulchan Aruch, the end of Chelik Beis Mishnah. Haroya, if you see the Amagadla within 30 days, you don't make a bracha. More than 30 days, you do. So maybe coming to the Kosel is a din in Re'iyah. And therefore, if you didn't see for 30 days, you would have to rise Kriah. And this seems to be a Beferish Yerushalmi. The Yerushalmi is in Brachos Perik Tes, Halacha Beis, it's Pei Tes and Beis, and Daf Yerushalmi. This person, Shimon, was a donkey driver, and he came to Yerushalayim occasionally, and then, don't forget, one of the Kriahs is on Yerushalayim, and he asked Reb Kriah, how often do I have to rise Kriah? So Reb Kriah responded, if you weren't there for 30 days, you have to rise Kriah. Obviously, if that's the halacha for Yerushalayim, it's the halacha for rising Kriah by the Kosel. Now, why is it totally in 30 days? It's not a Birchas Re'iyah, it's an Avelis. So probably the Svar is Pashut. 30 days, Chazal felt, if you didn't see something in 30 days, they're much more of an aspilus, much more of an emotion. You saw the Yam last week and this week, big deal. But I didn't see it already a month. Oh, now it's like as if it reappeared. Kriah, Avelis, is the same thing. If you're there last week, so it's still last week's Avelis. But once 30 days lapse in between, that is Mechayiv, a new Kriah. So therefore, we could understand that the din of Kriah is every 30 days, more than 30 days. Our Chashulchan writes Lashon Kedin Kol Birchas Re'iyah. I understand what he meant, because there's more of an aspilas after 30 days. If you want to be more technical, maybe I could suggest the Gemara in Soita, Daf Mem Tes says, since the Churban b'chol yoim v'yoim meruba kolosim mishel chaveira. Every day is a more intense Churban. It's nebach moise v'hoylech. So I was thinking, after 30 days, you have 30 more days of Churban. Now, a different Churban. If we had the Ruchnisige eyes, we would see a different Churban after 30 days. But be that as it may, if someone did not see the Kos for 30 days, he would have to rise Kriah a second time. Now, my next question, which might sound simple, how about if you live in Yerushalayim, and you're there, Chawai Pesach, and now you're going to go before Shavuos, do you rise Kriah? So what's the Shaila? Zil Basa time, 30 days, Roya. And indeed, as early as the Radvaz, in Chelik Beis, Tov Reish Mem Vav, someone asked him, he lives in Yerushalayim, does he have to rise Kriah every 30 days? If he goes, he said, Dava Bar Etzli, that why not? And he quotes our Yerushalmi. The Yerushalmi says 30 days, so why, if you live there, why should it be different? And the emes is, this is Mefurish in the Magen Avram. Very Yisodistic in Magen Avram. It almost seems to be a hypothetical question, but it's very much the case, as we'll see. Magen Avram says, someone that was born in Yerushalayim, could be he never rise Kriah in his lifetime. Why? He says, until his bar mitzvah, he's potter because he's a cotton. Very important, we'll soon get back to that. And when he gets older, since he lives there, he always sees it. So theoretically, until he goes out of Yerushalayim for 30 days, or doesn't go to the Kos for 30 days, there's no Kriah. So we see from a Radvaz, from a Magen Avram, based on a Yerushalmi, that someone didn't see the Kos for 30 days, has to rise Kriah. And indeed, there were Gedolim that were makbid either to rise Kriah after 30 or make sure they went within 30 days. The Yerah Kodesh says, based on the minig of Ezeder, of Shul Salant, Gedolim were makbid to go within 30 days to avoid the Kriah. The Rabbi Yashiv also was makbid to either be there for 30 days, within 30 days, or to rise Kriah after 30 days. Now, when I say they used to go within 30 days, it wasn't because they wanted to, to be pater themselves. They didn't want to be Masiach Das from the Kosel. Rabbi Yasha was very sensitive to these things. I saw a quote in Ashrei Ish, in Amatov Tzadik Vav. He says, someone that could go to the Kosel once in 30 days and doesn't, he is like someone that flies to Eretz Yisrael to visit his old mother and never goes to visit her. That was the mashal he gave. The Kosel right there. Why are you not going? Now, Rabbi Yashiv was known to have a smud and a flaw, but he had time to go to the Kosel. More than 30 days is a hesach hadas and requires a new Kriah. Yet, I must say, Poik Chazi, I've asked many people that the minig in Yerushalayim seems to be, if you live in Yerushalayim, you don't rise Kriah. The Radvaz himself writes at the end of the tshuva, I'm aware of people, they don't do it, I don't know why. But the Birkei Yosef in Sifkat and Beis quotes the Radvaz that says the minig, but he doesn't know why, and the Radvaz says that, the Birkei Yosef says, that's the right minig. And I saw the Divrei Yoel Sat Mirov in the Tshuvas Archaim, Siman Lamed Sifkat and Zayin. He says Radvaz did not like the minig, but he didn't change the minig, and the Birkei Yosef accepted it. So this, if you hear about people that don't rise Kriah, if they live in Yerushalayim, it's based on this Havamina of the Radvaz. Now the Svara seems to be that a Yerushalmi is never Mesiach Das from the Kosel. It's like my backyard, it's almost like my backyard. I'm not forgetting it. Now you have to be Yerushalmi to appreciate that. But the point is, the way the Radvaz says that he always has tsar. Not that it stops and it comes and goes. A visitor, like Hashem Zalman explained, a visitor goes to the Kosel. An issue Shalayim is always there. Hashem Zalman had a few tshuvas that he insists that's the minig. In Alicha Shloima and Madani Shloima and another seif I saw, he felt that's the minig of Yerushalayim, not the rise Kriah. Now, in the seif Madani Shloima, it's interesting, with Kufa involved, he really wrote the many things of Shlomo Zalman. He says he once told Rabbi Yashiv that I heard a Paisik says the minig Yerushalayim is not the rise Kriah. So Rabbi Yashiv answered Betkifus, whoever said that, Leimatzu Yoda V'Ragla B'Hira. No such thing. Shlomo Zalman said that's the minig Yerushalayim. So I don't know how we reconcile those two, but definitely it's not Pashut. The Radvaz recognized it, but they rejected it. So Lamaisa, it seems that the minig is not to. Some people are war makbid, like I told you. The Kloisenberger in Chelik Aleph, the Riyatz Peites, Sifkat and Zayin, he says, we find like other brachas, if most people go, or most people don't make a bracha, you don't have to. So that's already an interesting tustel. But then he says, which is logical, could be the aniyas and the dachkus that they lived in those days. If you would tell somebody has to rise kriya every 30 days, he wouldn't go to the Kosel. We don't relate to this, but that was the minig then. So Lamaisa, it seems that this is really totally in a minig. Rabbi Yashiv says, even if there's such a minig, it's only in the old city. Shlomo Zalman says, no, any place that's called Yerushalayim is part of rising kriya. Now, I just want to mention a point. Shevabrachos go to learn by the Kosel, Ben Eretz Yisrael, but do they have to stop every 30 days to go to the Kosel, not to rise kriya? So the emphasis is, it's a nice hiddur, but don't forget, Talmud Torah Keneged Kulam. Now, some yeshivas encourage it, wonderful. But I did see the Archas Rabbeinu Chelik Beis on Metaf Nun Beis. He was about to go with the stipend of the Kosel, and the Rabbi Avram Horowitz wrote that sefer, said, let me call my son, so he'll go with us. Stipend says, where's your son now? So he said, he's in yeshiva. If he's in yeshiva, let him stay there. It's nice, but it's not Doichel Limud Torah. I once saw the Oznidbru in Chelik Yud Aleph Simon Mem Dalid. Someone asked him, he learns in yeshiva, and he goes Thursday night to the Kosel for Ma'ariv, and he learns there until Vasikah. But sometimes there's no minyan for Ma'ariv. Could he go there and daven by the Kosel, be a chidus, and it won't be a minyan? So Rabbi Yamzil says, why do you daven by the Kosel? In yeshiva, the place where you learn has more kedusha. Okay, others feel it's more of a makam tefillah, but I will tell you one more point. The Reb Shlomo Hyman in the back of Chelik Beis of his Chlush P'sayim on Shas, in Yonam Shayim Tzadikei, he has a story there, and what to me is very choshev. Reb Shlomo never said drush. He was too much of an ishem to say something that's just, drush. But these things he did say. Very rare that he spoke, but he said, well, this is one of the things he said. He said a story that B'Sadji Goyin was building yeshiva in Surah, and he needed money. So he reached out to Acheni B'nai Yisrael, and one yid from Mitzrayim, from Egypt, pledged to pay the money for the Arna Kodesh. He wanted to have the schus Arna Kodesh. So B'Sadji Goyin was very happy. It seems someone else came and built a beautiful Arna Kodesh. So he lost his schus, and he was very broken. So B'Sadji Goyin told him, listen, there's Torah Shebiksav and Torah Shebal Peh. Torah Shebiksav, the Aron HaKodesh, is the address for the Torah Shebiksav, the Torah Kedosha. Torah Shebal Peh, the Aron HaKodesh is the yeshiva, is the shtendis. That's the Kodesh HaKadoshim of Torah Shebal Peh. If you give tables and chairs and shtendis, it's just as good. In other words, the Kosel is wonderful, but we have to not lose sight of the makom of the yeshiva. So if the yeshiva wants you to stay and not go out, so then you can rely on the shittas. Now you're an Anshe Yerushalayim, maybe you could hold, but definitely to have a sense of priorities. If someone went to the Kosel and forgot to rise Kriah, and he left already, he's on the way home, oh yeah, I didn't rise Kriah. So this is a perfect nafkamina. If it's because of tsar, like we said, no, he still has tsar, hopefully. But if it's a roya, you're no longer roya. And Taka, I saw a number of poskim say, Rav Moshe and Chelekela, Amid Zayin, Daldim, and Chashloim, and Aleph, Ayin Gimel, that if he left, there's no longer a re'iyah, there's no longer a chiyuv to rise kriya. Now, Lamaisa, by availus of parents, there's a concept of shmur kroiva, shmur rechoika, but the poskim already point out that we don't compare entirely kriya to the Kosel, kriya to Aviv Imay. Kriya Aviv Imay, don't forget, there is a basis that some of it is the Raisa. Availus the Raisa has at least part of it. Kriya by the Kosel is definitely not the Raisa. So this is the first time we saw that Lamaisa, it's not exactly similar to Kriya on Aviv Imay. If someone forgot, no, he forgot. Now let's say, listen to this, he forgot this week Aleph Parshas B'chukoisei. He went back Aleph Parshas B'midbar. Does he rise Kriya now? Because he didn't rise last time. But then again, you think about it, there's no reason to rise Kriya. Because he was there Aleph B'chukoisei, so he no longer has the aspilus, no longer has that chimum halev, so he can't rise Kriya. So last time he missed it, so the clock, you start counting 30 days from the last time he saw it, not the last time that he rise Kriya. And that's the Chayr Pashut. I had a shayla, someone, a blind person, when he went to the Kosel, does he have to rise Kriya? So if you think about it, if it's just feeling the tsar, maybe he can feel the tsar, he knows in the makam of the Kosel. But he sent the shliach to ask Rabbi Yashiv. Rabbi Yashiv responded that it says the Gemara Haroya, if he doesn't see, he doesn't rise Kriya. And I saw Rabbi Yashiv quote in the Ashrei Ish, also says this same psak, and many others say it as well, that Tziliezer, Tezayin, Lambates, Chazayin Avadia, Ambetaf Mem, Barichas, that it's a din in Re'iyah, even though it's a din in Avelis, but if he doesn't see it, it's like he doesn't make Kiddush Levana, he doesn't make the Kriya on the Kosel. Now, someone once was on the way to a child's chasana, and he stopped by the Kosel to Tavin, but he's wearing his beautiful suit and tie, and what's he going to do? Rise Kriya on the wedding suit. So someone told him, Gavalda get Eitzah. Go in, have someone walk you, keep your eyes closed from beginning till the end. If he doesn't see the Kosel, then he doesn't rise Kriya. I saw this, not in that situation, but the Stipler, in Orchos Rabbeinu Chelik Beis, Amid Kuf Nun Dalid, he wanted to make Kriya on Yerushalayim, like the Ikar Din of the Gemara. But he wanted to make one Kriya for both. So when he got to the place where he saw Yerushalayim, he closed his eyes, he was driven up to the Kosel, then he saw the Kosel, and he raised one on both. You see, closing the eyes wouldn't help if it's just Avelis. But since the din of Re'iyah, closing the eyes would help for that person with his chasana. Next question is, of course, an important question, and a group of questions, I should say, and that is, who is chayiv in Kriya? So first, I forgot to mention, the person that came, let's say today, and kept his eyes closed, he goes next week, he does rise Kriya. Because he didn't see it last week, so he had no chiyav yet, now there's a new chiyav. But the question is, who else is chayiv and who's pata in Kriya? So it's pashit nashim achayiv in Kriya. It's not as man grama, it's whenever you go, you rise Kriya, it's not as man grama, that's pashit. And I saw a list of paiskim that say that avada nashim achayiv. Of course, it has to be done by oifen sniyas. So we'll get to that soon when we make the details. But an isha is chayiv and kriya like men. The interesting question is a cotton chayiv in kriya? So this is better question than it seems. Because could be even a cotton shalo yigi lechinuch would be chayiv in Kriah Kosel. He's lo yagil l'chinuch, he's patam kol Torah kula. But we find the Gemara in Moed Daf Yud Beis Amud Beis that regarding Kriah on parents, even a cotton shelo yagil l'chinuch, they rise for him, on him, als agmas nefesh. Rashi explains, so people see, oh, in a little child has to rise Kriah. It's to promote and increase agmas nefesh. And that's the psak in Yeridea, Siman Shin Mem, Sif Chav Zayin, that mekaron on a cotton, als agmas nefesh. And even by lo yagil l'chinuch. So now we could go even a step further. We find the same concept regarding avelos of the 3 weeks, the 9 days. The halacha is certain halachos that apply even to a cotton shelo yagil l'chinuch. L'mashal, the Sharatzi and Tov Kuf Nun Aleph, Sif Cotton Sadik Aleph, that a haircut should not be given to a cotton even shelo yagil l'chinuch. Why? Als agmas nefesh for the royim. It causes certain avir. Ne'ilas sandal on Tisha B'Av, we tell a child not to wear shoes, wear sneakers, even lo yagil l'chinuch. If possible, the child that could avoid eating meat during the 9 days should not eat meat. What's the pshat? He's lo yagil l'chinuch. But there's an attitude to feel the agmas nefesh. You see it more. You see on Tisha B'Av people sitting on the floor. It's painful. But you see young children with slippers sitting on the floor. It makes a different ration. So here we see regarding avelus of Imai and of the Tisha B'Av, it applies even to lo yagil l'chinuch. Could we say hu adin regarding the Kosel? So we could say that, but the Paiskim don't say that. And here we see it for the second time that we don't compare this entirely to Av Imai. And it seems that a cotton shelo yagil l'chinuch is pater from Kriah on the Kosel. Now it bothered me a little bit, but we see regarding Tisha B'Av 9 days, we do apply it to a cotton shelo yagil l'chinuch, which is also only d'Rabbanan. So why is this different? Teretz probably is, but Lamaisa, it's an Avelos Chamura. It's based on Migdash. This Kriah is probably less of a Chiyuv. But be that as it may, the minig seems to be on a lo yagia, we don't rise Kriah. L'choira, higia l'chinuch, should rise Kriah. And Taka, I saw the Sefer Zichron Betzal, Amud Shin Samach Daled, he says, Noshim and cotton shagia l'chinuch are chayiv in Kriah. But the Pella is, Magen Avram doesn't say that. The Magen Avram seems to say that a cotton that's born in Yerushalayim, until he's by mitzvah, he doesn't rise Kriah. Kishi Yagdil, when he gets older, he does. So it's very doichedik to say Yagdil means he becomes Higil l'chinuch. Yagdil means Gadol. And Taka, I saw the Chutshani, Rabbi Yashiv, both say that a cotton is potter from Kriah on the Kosel until his bar mitzvah. So obviously it's not similar to Av Imai. The Archas Rabbeinu in Chelik Beis, Kuf and Dalet, that the stipler told him that before bar mitzvah we don't rise Kriah. There's no Agbas Nefesh concept regarding Kriah on the Kosel. Rabbi Yashiv in the Sefer Abnei Yoshvei in Siman Nun Hey, Sif Cotton Beis, has a very interesting svar why cotton is potter. Because really we do things of chinuch to get practice when he gets older. But we're very confident when he gets older, Mashiach will come. So he doesn't need the practice. Chinuch is all about practice. Hopefully he won't do it. Now this is a chiddush to me, because the whole halachos avelos of the 9 days, 3 weeks, Tisha B'Av, say the same thing. And yet we find in halacha that even lo yagil l'chinuch is chayiv. But l'maisa, this seems to be the minig. Definitely lo yagil l'chinuch. There's no one that rises Kriah for cotton. Higil l'chinuch, some do, but l'halacha we have a Magen Avram that's kemat mefurish that we don't rise Kriah until he becomes bar mitzvah. The next group of questions, which really is fascinating, because people have these ideas to try to get out of Kriah. Is it shaykh what people say? You don't want to rise Kriah on your suit or shirt, so you mafka your clothing. Now that sounds, it's as funny as it sounds, Taka, because first of all, you have to know hilchos hefka. You can't just be mafka something. You have to get 3 people mafka. There's dinei hefka. But besides that, let me ask you a question. Be honest. Are you really being mafkir b'leiv shalom? So yes. He goes, let me ask you a question. Why don't you tear your shirt? Because you don't want to waste your shirt. But you're willing to mafkir your shirt and your suit? That, yes, you will do. Very hard to believe it's leiv shalom. But more so, and let's say takiya mafkir. Who says you don't rise kriya on a beggar that you mafkir? Tainit to Evan Yisrael, so Yanka Fisher, Chelik Ches Mem Gimel, and let's say the hefka worked. No din lachem. It's not like dalaminim. So even if it's hefka, it's no one else's, it's yours. And also he says, so be kind for the mitzvah. So what do you mean that you have mafkir it? And these are his two tainas. But we could add a third taina. Why are we doing something to mafkia from the chiyuv? We try to run after mitzvah. I don't know if Idin the Riska works here, but it definitely is a concern. You're doing something you have a chiyuv and you're trying to get out of it. Reb Shlomo Zalman, in the Seif Madani Shleim of the Kufa in Tes, he said he responded very sharply. He first said, I don't like these kunsen. But then he added, I hate these kunsen. So Zalman didn't talk that way, but this bothered him very much. You come to the Kosel, you have a chiv, and you play games, you mafkir it. But you have to realize also, so a point that has to be mentioned, the Gemara says in the end of Tainis, if someone's not Mesabel Yerushalayim, Einai Roya B'Simchasa. The Shibali Alek, one of the Rishonim, on Siman Reish Ayin Dalet, he says, even if he's going to live to the time of the Geula, he's Nichta B'Kat Rishoyim, She'einam Aminim, Ve'einai Royu L'Smoyach. I don't want to touch that, but Einai Roya B'Simchas, we have to think about that. So there used to be a whole Siman Tov Kuf Samach in Shulchan Aruch, things that we do Zeichel L'Chorbin. Zok Techay Mishtabura in the end of Tov Kuf Samach quoting Chayodam, Tzorach and Shekol Ze Einai Hagen Klal. A whole Siman we don't do. Now, as if we tore out Siman Tov Kuf Samach. Oh, but we do one thing, but I should mention, the chosin breaks the glass after the chuppah. But most people think that's really a signal for the band to start playing Od Yeshama. That also lost its meaning. But we have Tav Kuf Samach Aleph. If that also we're going to do away with, we're going to find coolest how to circumvent it. What is our Misabel Yerushalayim? So the Maisa, it's really not the right thing. Rabbi Yashiv says maybe in halach it works, but we don't do those type of things. The person says, but I don't feel like, I don't feel anything when I go to the Kosel. That's why you have to rise kriya maybe twice. Because then you have to come on to the emergency treatment of chitzonis maripnimius, od mifkafu pulaisav. But that's the problem. If you don't feel, there's something you have to work in it, because we don't want to be a victim of Mishin Emsabel Yerushalayim. Now, some have a different eitzah, quote unquote. They give their begodim to someone b'matana. So it's not theirs. Now that's a little better than the first eitzah, because you can't rip what's not yours. But my question is, ask that other fellow, does he allow you to tear your beged? He couldn't care less. It's not him. You're giving to him to spiel. He's not going to keep it. So if he lets you do it, you have to do it. Also, even if it does work, what about Ein Misabel Yerushalayim? So Lamaisa, this is why it's an aroma, and we have to look at ways of making it work, making it meaningful, not making it, irrelevant. The main problem is the attitude. We have to find a way of doing things properly. Now, if technically you borrow someone else's beged and he doesn't give you a shus to rise kriya, no, I can understand. But why do that? Now, one point I would mention, we hear the shayla, the parents send their child to learn Eretz Yisrael, they give him a whole new wardrobe, a new suit, a new shirt, and he goes to the Kosel, he's totally unprepared, he has to rise kriya, and he's a chafruma, he rises on the beged elyon, he tears his new suit. He calls his parents, I had a wonderful experience, I tore my new suit, and the parents start shrieking, what'd you do? You have to realize in halacha, he wasn't right. Because no matter how smart lamdan he is, he's still a ben asayim b'chal shulchanai. According to most poskim, the clothing belonged to his parents, and you don't write someone else's clothing. So chacham eina b'roishai, you do like everybody else does. You take an older beggar, we'll soon see. Or if you want to rise dafka the new shirt, ask your parents for shus. Don't guilt trip them, but they let you do it, fine. But this is an example where it's not yours. Now, when a person gets married and he wears his new suit to the kosel, he wants to tear it, gesund to hate. Then it's his own. But if it's still his parents' clothing, you got to be careful to rice when it's really not yours. Now, the next question is a little more challenging, and that is which days are chayiv, or more so, which days are potter. So here you see again, you have to learn halacha carefully, because there are things people think are part of Aseres Adibris, and they're not really at all halachic. We find clearly the following three groups of days are potter: Shabbos, Yom Tiv, and Chol HaMoed. Why? Well, Shabbos and Yom Tov I understand, because you're not allowed to tear a beged, so it's Hilchos Shabbos, but it's not the point. The point is, a day of that's Aseh B'Aveilus, you don't rice Kriah. So that's why Shabbos and Yom Tov is Pashut. Chol HaMoed is a little more of a chiddush, because Chol HaMoed you're allowed to tear. But the Ira Kodesh, Amigdash, Amad Reish Chav, he says he heard from Chachmei Svarad that knew the Minhagim. Don't forget, the Svardim never went into Golos, so they were more attuned and more accurate with Minhagim. They said the minig was not to rice Kriah on Chol HaMoed. Even though, mitzad halach, you're allowed to tear on Chol HaMoed, but it's a din, there's no aveilus on Chol HaMoed, like we see today, a person's nifta, they postpone the aveilus till the after Yom Tiv. But Lamaisa, although we don't fully compare it to Avelis, but this is good enough for this Yisoid, and that's the minig Shabbos, Yom Tiv, or Chol HaMoed. Rosh Chodesh, although it's a Yom Tiv Daraisa, the Gemara calls it, but since there is Avelis on Rosh Chodesh, the Paiskim say, I saw the Archas Rabbeinu, Rabbi Yashiv, the Even Yisrael all say that there is a Chiyuv Kriya on Rosh Chodesh by the Kosel. Hanukkah is a very lichtig Yom Tiv, but there's no suspension of Avelis on Chol HaMoed, and Avada, they rise Kriya. Days that people don't say Tachnun, so don't say Tachnun, but that doesn't pata Kriya. You know, someone say, yeah, but when we skip Tachnun, for me it's a real Yom Tiv. Okay, that's not what Chazal meant in Yom Tiv. Purim is the one day I found, the B'tzei L'Chochma and Chelikei Yud Beis, he said, I looked into it, Gedolei Chacham Yerushalayim said, Purim is enough of a Yom Simcha, not to, even though there is a Avelis, but Lamaisa, it's somewhat of a Yom Tiv, a full-fledged Yom Tiv. But the most challenging, the most Negeya, is Erev Shabbos. So people say it as if it came straight from Sinai, Erev Shabbos, after Chatzos, you don't rice Kriya. There's no such halacha. I saw from the Chazanish and Archas Rabbeinu, the Stipula, Rav Moshe, Ardea, Gimel, Nun Beis, Dalid, and Chelikei again. I don't know any makar for it. Rabbi Yashiv, Chaim Kanievsky, Sayan Gefisha, and many are medactic. If they go Erev Shabbos, they do rice Kriya. However, Poik Chazi, and Taka, there is such a minig Yerushalayim, not to rice after Chatzos. Where's it coming from? So Rav Moshe says maybe when after you rice Kriya by the Kosel, a person is so sad he'll go into Shabbos still feeling sad. Halavai, if one's gesagt. But that's what Moshe said. Maybe Taka, if a person took it seriously. We'll soon see the Mr. Brewer brings a minig that the day that he rice Kriya, we shouldn't eat meat or drink wine. Like Avelis. So if you have that attitude, I can understand. But most people, they rice Kriya and they go home. Now, the emes is probably, the minig is because in Yerushalayim, after Chatzos, they start getting ready for Shabbos. You know, here in America, Nebuch was so terribly poor, we have to work till the last minute Erev Shabbos. In Eretz Yisrael, they must be fabulously wealthy because Chatzos comes, the whole city closes down. You know, Shabbos. So it's already part of Shabbos on Erev Shabbos. Rav Moshe, who usually goes with Yikav Adin Sahar, halachas halacha, he says, I don't know the minig, I'm not rising on Erev Shabbos, but if they do that minig, even though it's not Aydei Gedoylei HaTorah, but it's a din minig and you could follow it. The B'tzei L'Chochma says also, Ein Acha Minig Klum. Rabbi Yashiv, Taka, when he held it's not really, it doesn't have a basis. But one thing I will say, what Rapam told me, which Mitzvah Lefarsim, to come to Eretz Yisrael, let's say Sunday or Monday, and wait to go till Friday afternoon, and avoid Kriya by waiting till Friday as a double avla. First of all, Friday is not so posh, it's pata. But you came to visit your alta mama and you don't go, just to just save a few dollars on a shirt. So really, the minig, those that do rice on Erev Shabbos after Chatzos, it's not bal tashchis. Because Miyakididin, that seems to be the right thing. if someone came on Matzoi Shabbos, that's Pashut, he's chayiv. There's no Ptur Matzoi Shabbos. Okay, so you have to be careful. Chachamei b'roishay. If you want to go on Matzoi Shabbos, change into your old shirt, whatever you want to do. But Lamaisa, this is definitely not a Ptur by itself. There's a little of a question here. He came on Shabbos, and Shabbos Ivada Potter. Then he came during the week. Does he have to rise Kriah during the week? So to us it's Pashut that he doesn't, because he saw Shabbos, that's when he had his Espilas, and now during the week is within 30 days. Rav Moshe Yeridei Chele Gimel Simon and Beisiv Cotton Dalid, he says this is clear that he has to rise Kriah. Because he came, not that he didn't do it, he was Potter. And even if someone tells you that's the minig not to, it's a toyus. You have to, if you came on Shabbos or any day when you're really Potter, you have to rise during the week. Now Rav Moshe says it emphatically, but Rav Zalman and Rabbi Yashiv, when we asked this question, both said the same lashon. The minig is not like Rav Moshe. Now you have to realize both Rabbi Yashiv and Rav Zalman had a total bittul to Rav Moshe and a tzakim. So they didn't say we don't agree or Lanias Daiti, whatever. They said that's not the minig. In other words, we're not arguing. We're just telling you the minig is not like that. And taka the minig is if someone came of a day Shabbos Yom Tov Chol Hamoed that he was Potter. So even though he was Potter, Lamais he saw it, and then he doesn't rise Kriah the next time he comes. Another real Patur, believe it or not, would be chosonkallah. Because for them, during the shevabrachos is a real Yom Tov. Even though there's no Issa Kriah for them, you're out of tear, it's a weekday, but that would be a Patur alza Yom Tov. If someone came Shabbos, and he was there whole Shabbos afternoon, and he stayed for Matzoi Shabbos, does he have a new chiv on Matzoi Shabbos? So here we could say, since we first came, the Shas Chimum was the hours that he was there by the Kosel on Shabbos. So Matzoi Shabbos already it's, I don't want to say oiskevet, but already it dissipated. So he'd be pata al that. The next group of questions is the important do's and don'ts of this mitzvah. So Lamaisa, this is one of the pleas that I have with this sugya. You learn Shulchan Aruch, the Mechaber says it, no one says differently, based on a Rambam. And that is, this Tafkuf Samachal Siv Dalet. The Kriah on these Kriyas is Ad Shegalah Es Liboy. Now what that means basically is, when a person writes Kriah on a parent, so he has to tear all the begadim that he's wearing. If he's wearing 10 begadim, 10 Kriyas. Typically, on an outer coat, we don't rise Kriah, because it's a beged to keep you warm. On a tzitzis is a dvar mitzvah, there's no Kriah. And an undershirt is a big day zayah, and not a beged, there's no Kriah. But that means if someone's wearing a jacket and a shirt, he rises both. And that's taka the minig. He rises the jacket, the shirt, and tear it a little more than a tefach to be able to yigalas liboy. Of course, he's not mamish beer. He's still wearing his tzitzis and undershirt. But for an Av V'imai, it's Ad Shegalah Es Liboy. In other words, all the begadim, but certainly jacket and shirt. Other kroivim, with his kriya, is only the beged elyon, and not all the begadim. But this is the basic difference between Av V'imai and Shar Kroiv. The Rambam, and again the Mechaber quotes it almost verbatim, the kriya on the Kosel is like Av V'imai Ad Shegalah Es Liboy. No one says differently, and that's the shita of the Rambam quoted in Shulchan Aruch. Now, Lamaisa, it's a big chiddush, because if we proved that it's much less than Kriya on Av V'imai, so why do we go to Chumrah all the begadim? But listen, that's the Mechaber Paskin. And no one argues, not the Mishnah Berurah, not Magen Avraham, not Taz. It seems that was the minig for Doiri Doiris. Because Lamaisa, the Poiskim, the Heintige Poiskim struggle. Why do we only do one beged? There's a beautiful letter, the Emri Emris, Oisem Bichtovim, Simon Nun, when he came to Yerushalayim before the Second World War, they asked him about Kriah. So he says, I came to the Kosel, and the way I remember that you rise Ad Shegalah Liboy. He was right. That was Mechaber. But Lamaisa, they told me the minig is only one malbush. So it seems that in the Emri Emes, this is a little bit before the Second World War, to him was a chiddush, why only one beged? Lamaisa, I saw the Mincha Shloima, Aleph Ayin Gimel, Evan Yisrael, Ches Mem Gimel, And almost all the poskim say that the minig became only one beged. Why? That's very mistaver, by the way. Because the Ravid argues on the Rambam, and the Ravid says that the Kriah on the Kosel and Yerushalayim is like Shar Kroivim. It's not Mamish of Imay. So since it's a suffix in a Drabanon, you can be Mekel. So that's why the minig is we do like the Ravid, not like the Rambam. It's wonderful. But why didn't anybody else think about that until our times? Why didn't the Mechaba think about that? Mechaba, Mishnah Berurah, no one says differently. So this is one of the chidushim of this sugya. But I saw something I think it's important to mention in that Sefer Zichron Betzalel, Amud Kuf Chaf Aleph. Hitaka was one of the first that wrote extensively about halachos of Kriah. So he says that really Avada halach l'maaseh, Mechaba says Shigalas libur. Why did we sort of change the minig? If you're going to make it too difficult, people won't do it. It's pashut to make it, quote unquote, more user friendly. And the truth is, we saw this theme. We saw earlier that the minig of Yerushalayim is they don't rise Kriah, even though it's a questionable minig. The Kosel says we might not go to visit the Kosel, but he's putting it very, very clearly that we try to go with the coolest and do it. You want to be more machmir? Fine, no problem. No one's stopping you. But we want to make it work. And therefore, if we go with the Raibah, which Ma'aseh is legitimate, it's only a suffix d'Rabbanan. Now, why the Mishnah Berurah didn't change? Why didn't he write that we don't do it? So it could be, at that point, it wasn't changed. Don't forget, we didn't have the Kosel all throughout history. It wasn't so negeya. But no doubt about it, it seems to be that there was a change in many of the minhagim of Kriah. And I once said, if they would make an excavation someplace and they would find an old guide to Kriah by the Kosel, written 500 years ago, I'm telling you, it would look very different than we do today. First of all, we have to tear all the begadim. Anshe Yerushalayim have to rise every 30 days. Not by the Kosel, you have to see the Rtzpas Harabayis, and we'll soon see other halachos that changed. It was a different Kriah. Maybe today, if we wouldn't make it as easy as we can, people wouldn't do it. But this seems to be the attitude. Now, which beged, if it's only one beged, which do we tear? So, Lamaisa, beged elyon is always the beged to tear, which would mean the jacket. Now, many people don't want to tear a jacket. So the eights of people, so the poskim suggest is when you get to before you go to the place with your chayiv and kriya, whatever you're going, wherever you're seeing, take off your jacket, put it on fold it over your arm, walk in with a shirt. So now the shirt is beged elyon. So you could tear the shirt and that will be beged elyon. Now once you were mekayim the mitzvah, you could put the jacket back on because now you did your right. Now, Lamaisa, I saw that Sefer Taka Paninas Hamigdash. He says, someone asked Rafal, yo, can you come with your jacket over your shoulders? You don't want to walk into a kosel without a jacket, just a shirt. Wear it over your shoulders and don't put the sleeves in. So Rafal said a very nice taina. Since the Chazon Ish would go on Shabbos with the jacket over his shoulders, obviously it's derech levisha. So if l'kul it's derech levisha on Shabbos, it's l'chumra here, it's not a good idea because you're still wearing it. So take off the jacket and rise kriya. Now, this is l'maisa, what the halacha is. The Chut Shani warns that if you want to do this eitzah, do it before you get to a makam of chiyuv. You're walking to the kaisa and you're wearing a jacket, then you're taking it off, maybe it doesn't help. But I did see many poskim, the Heintiker poskim say that if you didn't yet rise kriya, you could change your style of dress. So even if you came in and you forgot to take it off, take off the jacket and do it on the shirt. Now, is it mutter to change into a lesser quality shirt to tear that? Let's say before you come to the kosel, you'll change into an old shirt. So the good news is, even in Hilchas Avelus, you're allowed to change shirts. That's the halach in Takashin Mem. The Gilya Mashal quotes from earlier source, you're allowed to put on a cheaper jacket or an older shirt. So if by that is mutter, kolshkin in our case. Rabbi Yashiv was once heading to the Kosel, to Rice Kriya, he wasn't there for 30 days, and they told him we have to go back because the Rav is wearing the new rekel. He goes, no, I want to make it on the new rekel. He wanted to make it to have more of a tzar. Again, people that are connected to Yerushalayim in that intimate way, they want to do extra. But again, it's a chumrah, amidas chasidis. I saw from another gadol that Dafka made on the regular shirt or jacket that he was wearing. Are you allowed to do it on a shirt that was already torn or a jacket that was already torn? So the emes is Mariel quotes Rabbeinu Peretz, by Avelis you could do that. So the poskim say there can't be anything wrong by Kriya. The only thing that I did not find beforish, I saw in the Sefer, the one of the Svarim that I saw, he writes that you have to keep at least Gimel Etzbois between one tear and the next. That I saw in the Piskei Chuvas, Gimel Etzbois, space in between. Then you could tear one and again. In a different Sefer, grab a Sefer from the Zichron B'Tzalel, you have to have Gimel Tfachim in between one tear and the next, which is almost a foot. So I don't know if that's a mistake, but I did see the Archas Rabbeinu, Chelik Beis, Kufman Gimel. He says you're allowed to use one shirt 5 times. Now, if you're going to have a foot in between, it's not shaykh. So obviously he's going with Gimel Etzbois, which is a little less, it's around 3 inches. So I think we could be saying on that, if there's Gimel Etzbois in between one tear to the next, you could tear it again. If you tear it by the Kosel, wherever you are, and you want to take it off, you feel funny walking around with a torn beged, so halacha, it seems that you have to wear it as long as you're there. Here again, I saw a kula, because some people feel uncomfortable. So the Maisa, it seems that you're allowed to take it off after the Maisa Kriah. Even though some poskim insist, you have to keep it on. Now, I want to tell you, you should not feel uncomfortable. It's a badge of honor. We're doing, what the Bernstein wants. I say the Brisker Rav was extremely sensitive to blood. If he saw blood, he fainted. But yet, by a bris, he was a sandik, he would watch the Mila. So they asked him, how does that work? He goes, das is nicht blut, das is dam Mila. A different Metzias. This is not a torn beged. You're not a tattered oni. This is moed katan chavav. This is a yid's masabel Yerushalayim. Lamaisa, again, people do keep it on, and you don't have to be embarrassed. Forget, you'll get some attention. People say, "Oh, you just came from America." Oh, bruch maboyim, because it shows that you just came. Now, as far as the actual tearing, the kriya has to be minimum of a tefach. That's approximately foot. I'm saying 4 inches. No. I'm sorry, tefach, it's 4 inches, right, yeah. Tefach is 4 inches, 3.5 to 4 inches, that's right, thank you. Now, also, like in Hilchos Avelos, we tear it vertically, down, not across, because that's not a kriya, that's a torn beged. Now, also, it seems to be a maila to do it biyad, just like we find by Avav Imoy. But it's hard to tear a shirt, and certainly a jacket, biyad. So Avad, you're allowed to tear a little bit with a scissor and then do the rest. In fact, before you leave your house, apartment, you could cut with a scissor, razor a little bit, and then tear down the 4 inches of the kriya. By Avav Imoy, the minig is, the Kitzur says is that the Chaver Kedisha first tears it, because it's more of an agmas nefesh if someone tears the person, and then the Avav does the rest, als mitzvah boy. That would be practical. It would be done by Kosel, but you don't have a Chaver Kedisha walking around, so you do it. A person does it himself, both parts of it. There's a chiyav gomer to do kriya b'amida. Don't forget, if he does it sitting, he's not yoyt even b'di'evid, and even by this halacha. So people coming in by bus, by car, oh, they see the makmish, they rise kriya. Either stop the car, get out, or wait till you get out of the car. But you're not yoyt even b'di'evid if you were sitting. An avel tears on the left side. Typically everything is right, but here's the chap. Because Achigalas Liboy is on the left side, and by the way, lefties also have heart on the left side. That doesn't change. But the question is, today, but today that we don't reach Gala Liboy by the Kosel, maybe you could do it on the right side, and Taka the Zichron B'Tzalel says that. But the minhag seems to be, we don't change what the Messiah was, and we do it on the left side. And one last thought I want to mention, in that letter from the Imrei Emes, Taka is surprised. Why the minhag change? So he writes this typical Imrei Emes style. He says, I realize there's a message here, that we don't rise physically at Shigala Liboy. That's true. But we do it emotionally. We have to come to the Kosel and tear until we tear our hearts. And he quotes the pasuk, Kiru levavchem va'al vigdeichem. Don't just tear your shirt, tear your heart. Libi al chalaleim. That's what he writes. So coming to the Kosel is a rare opportunity and should be done right. The Mishnah and Tafkuf Samachalef Sif Cotton Dalid, he writes that the minig is a day you came to the Kosel and you rise kriya, you don't eat meat or drink wine. And that minig has been discontinued, put that on the list of casualties. But there was a time that a person could not eat meat. Because don't forget what the Kosel is. It's interesting, the Goyim have a certain intuition. The Goyim gave the name to the Kosel the Wailing Wall. It's a place that, a person supposed to cry his eyes out. The Emes had his own, the Haley way of saying it. He quoted the pasuk, Oznayim l'Kosel. The Kosel has ears, the Baruch Shalom's ears. That's the place that lays other Shechina. The Ikka is from all the halachos to come to the Kosel, rise to Kriah, do it, and hopefully kiru levavchem and vigdeichem. I couldn't talk to you all.
B'shem Yegin Shuter, like to biggest character of Smith for today's share. This opportunity I'd like to invite the Olam to the Vort. That's for the shidduch for my daughter tonight in Spinker Hall in 18th and 52nd. Simchas B'ayich B'Hashem Suntayit. Vananya Barakah Shem Ratzak Hashbog L'Zakis is self here in Torah Mitzvah Shneim Adonai Chofes and Mantzidka Yagdol Torah V'Yadeh. Okay, no jokes about the Churban. Okay, seek him on the Kosel, Kriah about the Kosel.
First of all, as we saw today, and hopefully this is the most important halacha of take out the most important part of kol masabel could be b'zman hazeh, this Kriah. This is something that we have to continue do it and do it right, and do it taka kalacha. The real chiyuv is the Rtzpas Azora, the place where the Beis Hamikdash was. That's where today a dome, a mosque, tumah, that certainly should kiru levavchem, that definitely brings out that feeling. Today, the minig is either to say it when you see the makam of the Mikdash from a higher point, or we do it we see the dome, or by the Kosel where you have the dome and the Kosel. If Lamaisa, the minig, seems to be Anji Yerushalayim, never rise Kriah. Some still do if they didn't see it 30 days. Many are makbid to at least go within 30 days so they don't have this shaila lamaisa. When a person makes a point of going to the Kosel, it shows that they're visiting the Alta Mama, and we said as far as the shevabrachos, you should know what the policy of the yeshiva is. If they want you to stay, then we are included in those that are Talmud Torah Keneged Kulam. A person came to the Kosel, forgot the tear and left, then it's too late because the din of Re'iyah and coming back is just another time, but it's not that first time. A person that can't see, a summa, does not rise kriya. It is in a certain sense a din of a roya, even though it's an avelis. If someone comes to the kosel with his eyes closed from beginning to the end, would not be chayiv in kriya. He would be chayiv the next time, like we said. The Isha is chayiv, without doubt. Of course, ba'ofen sanua, typically they bring a second shirt, they tear the shirt above the shirt, and then they tear that, and then they're back to the regular begodim. That's the way to keep the tznius. A cotton, the minig is not to even till bar mitzvah, and some do rice it on a cotton agil lechinach. Being mafka the beggar or giving matana is not a ptur. Wearing someone else's may be a little better, but it's still not the right attitude. A single child or anybody that's wearing clothing not his should ask rishus if they have right to tear it. We shouldn't look for excuses when it comes to this mitzvah. We should try to do it and realize this is one of the things that we still have remaining. Let's do it right. Shabbos, Yom Tov, Chol HaMoed, and chosonkallah are potter, and then the next time they come, they wouldn't be chayiv if it's within 30 days. Days that are no tachlim, Rosh Chodesh and Hanukkah are chayiv. Purim, some the Welt is mekel. Erev Shabbos, we could say the Welt is mekel, but many still do rice kriya on Erev Shabbos. Maitzoi Shabbos, there's no heta, unless he was there on Shabbos, and now already it's not Shas Chimum. A person came in a day that it was pot to Shabbos Yom Tov, he does not rice kriya until 30 days lapse from that day, even though he didn't rice kriya. Today is no longer all begodim. Today it's beged elyon, or the shirt. If you take off the jacket, it's not achigala liba like it used to be. Jacket or a shirt is the option. A person could change into an old beged, a shirt over a shirt. There's also an exempt. They bring an old shirt over the regular shirt. You could use one beged 5 times if you keep 3 etzba'is in between. You could take it off right after the Kriah. It's probably better to keep it on, but you take it off if a person feels uncomfortable, especially if you won't daven good by the Kosel. Rip a tefach biyad, if possible, after the initial tear. Amida on the left side, and the ik is at Shigales liboy of in Ruchnius. Yes, thank you, Brady.
The last shiur.
Oh yeah, good.